Hello all, Nice Tail here, and I got a review today. Today we're going to be looking at the Sharp by Design Mini Typhoon. I've already done a video on the full-size regular Typhoon, and I love it. Well, much the same is true for this one. Let's get specs out of the way. You have a 3 3/8, so 3.4 inch blade-ish. Maybe 3.35. Overall, 7 5/8. It's to the edge there. And to the handle length is about 4 1/4 in inches. Make a quick size comparison to the Civivi Elementum. And this thing is worse for wear. I've carried it a few times and it's starting to finally show some age. Got some blade play that won't go away. Full-size knife, Civivi Conspirator. Well, as you can see, this thing is directly in between them. It is almost perfectly in between them. I think it doesn't really favor one or the other. Though I will say that the handle is on the smaller side. So you're getting a good amount of blade. That's one thing that Sharp by Design, Brian Nadeau, does very well is his ratios. You have a surprisingly good amount of blade to handle oftentimes. Where you're kind of getting the most of what's actually sticking out. Weight on the mini, and this is the mini, not the micro. There are three. There's the Typhoon, the mini Typhoon that came out most recently, and the micro Typhoon, which is even smaller than this. I don't really think I want that to be smaller. 2.92 ounces. Weight ratios are excellent. This one, of course, is in Zircutai, so it's not going to be quite as good. 3.58 ounces. That's still pretty close. That's still not bad at all. On the weight. T8. T8 pivot. G8 pocket clip. And that's it. That's the body screw. In fact, yes it is. Even the lock bar insert is a T8. So everything's T8. Love seeing that. Now the Nemesis arrives and it says 5 every 10. Okay. Yeah. And this is in inches. So this is, and these are contoured, so you've got 477 thousandths, so just under half an inch. 138 thousandths on this one. Let's see what this one says. 136 thousandths. So were they going for 135? I'm not sure. 138. Okay, so it's, 14 or about 140 maybe, as thin as 135. You're not going to notice much of a difference there. Behind the edge should be pretty small. Oh, nope, I'm slipping down the blade. Come on now. About 11 thousandths? 10. 10,000s. This one might be different. This is dual ground. And I believe this is hollow ground too. Hey. 12,000. Somehow this one's actually a little thicker, despite the hollow ground. Interesting. I think that's a flat grind. Don't see that very often. But neither of them is actually thick behind the edge. One final comparison for the sake of everybody knowing what the heck it looks like. There's it compared to two AA batteries. Alright. So as I've said before in my previous videos and on the primary Typhoon video, I love Sharp by Design. I like his designs. I like his knives. I hope one day to have some customs. What we're actually looking at here is, of course, Damasteel on this one, and M390 on this one. Doesn't say it anywhere though. Drop point blade shape. This beautiful, I love his Harpoon Tonto blade shape. Flipper tab. Contoured titanium with inlays. On bearings. With his... Is it proprietary? I don't know if he's got it patented. But his unique detent system, which I will talk about in just a moment. These are technically clamshell constructions, though only the back meets together. There's a lanyard hole. You got your pocket clip here. It is an extremely good pocket clip. I do kind of wish that it was a little bit thinner right up here, like they filed away at some of that. It doesn't have to be taller, it just has to be a little bit thinner on the bottom end, so it goes up faster, basically. But it still works. These work pretty darn well. In hand, it's not a huge knife, but that's what the full-size Typhoon's for, even though that's not really a huge knife either. The contouring, the inlay, these are done by Riot for Brian Ado, and to be honest with you, these are... Sharp by Design probably has some of the best Riot-made knives. Whatever he does, Yes, dog, hello. Welcome to the video today. Whatever he does to provide them with information and files ends up creating just such a precise product consistently. It's just so clean and consistent, and he gets the best out of even Riot, which is impressive and pretty interesting because they're a pretty good manufacturer, in my opinion. Deployment on these is a little bit interesting. You have the flipper. For the full-size Typhoon, I can reverse flick it. For the minis, or yeah, these are the minis, I can, but it takes a little digging. It's not my favorite. I mean, it's not really meant to, but yeah, you see, you have to really get in there. The full size is a little bit easier to reverse flick. It's still a little tight on it for it, but it's much, much easier. As you've noticed, this particular one has been modified a little bit. The scales have been polished. I do carry and use it. It's got a couple tiny little marks on it, though not too many. It's quite attractive, though, but a fingerprinting. And we've got an anodized, polished pocket clip and the dog again. This one has not been modified. That is how that came. Stop pins up here, out of the way. Doesn't get anywhere near the edge. Plunge grind ends about here. So you've got some life to sharpen. And again, you can make whatever modifications you want. This one's a little more definitive where the plunge grind ends. It's a little easier. You can kind of see it. And this is Damasteel that has been deep etched and double polished, I think it is. Whatever it is, this is probably my favorite Damasteel ever. I mean, this is just next level beautiful. I mean, even the spine. Yes, sir. That's something I appreciate. This is just awesome. Now, to finish things out, we'll talk about their detent nub and the way he does his lock bar inserts, which is interesting because, as you can see, the frame actually ends here, but the lock bar insert's much larger. In fact, when you're disengaging this knife, the part that's chamfered, the part that you touch, the part that is very easily accessible and very ready to access, is in fact the insert, where almost every other knife I know of, you're touching the lock bar and the insert's just this tiny little thing on the inside to interact with the tang. You got a big, nice sized one on here that's actually doing all of your interaction, so you're pressing on steel the entire time. And his detent nub, let's see if we can get in there and see it. There you go. You see, it's a bar, or in this case, it's kind of an off-angle little triangle, kind of like that. Or I guess in this case it would be the reverse of that, whatever. It doesn't matter. You can see it. So instead of a ball, he has this ledge and nub. And what it does is it creates a very, very different feeling detent than any other knife. It's very poppy. It's always got that snap. It's super, super consistent. And it just offers a very different sense. Where in the blade does it actually hit? Hold on. Aha! Interesting. In the closed position, this is also an interesting thing. That's where the detent sits. It doesn't sit in a hole in the blade. It sits like almost right in front of the blade. You got a little ledge there. So that's when you push it, it slides up along the ledge for like a detent ramp and pops out. And I guess that's what makes that consistency. It does give the illusion of sometimes a tiny bit of closed position play, but this is not actually play. This is me starting to push into that detent ramp until it goes. It's the bar itself is moving and everything like that. It's just how they kind of are. It makes for something that's super consistent and feels very different. Can I reverse flick this one? No, I don't think I can. Or if I can, it's going to take a while. Let's avoid that and just use them the way they're supposed to. I also really like his flipper designs. They're simple, but I don't know. It gives this sort of almost Everything is sort of minimalist and sleek, but it's ultra designed and modern looking, and this really just adds to it. So, honestly, though I will admit this is not my personal favorite Zerkutai, there's really nothing here that I have to complain about or give a negative on, other than maybe the pocket clip could be adjusted a little bit to be a little thinner, a little more rounded to go along with the rest of the, like chamfered, to go along with the rest of the aesthetic. But beyond that, no. These things are essentially near perfect knives. There's very, very little to be said here that's bad. Pardon me. And, yeah, I am happy to say, I mean, I bought 2 of them because of that. I knew they were going to be good. I'm happy to say that I own several Sharp by Design productions. In fact, other than the Micro Typhoon and the Void, I think I own all of them. So, yeah. Again, hopefully one day I'll be able to get some customs in hand. But until then, I will very much enjoy these. I don't use and carry this one much, but I have used and carried this one. And, it has dulled a little bit over the time, but it's still sharp enough that and the edge is still consistent enough that I'm not, I was just looking at the edge. I'm not in any hurry to sharpen it. So, decent M390, which you can kind of expect from Riot. They're going to be a little bit better than average. So, that is everything I have to say about this. Keep going and doing what you're doing, Sharp by Design. Great work. That's all from me. See you later.